She didn't get in an accident, did she?
She's in the can for a nice long stretch.
What's the charge?
Violation of probation.
Probation for what?
Theft. Terms of her probation when she was released yesterday was that she returned to her home in Ridgeville. An hour ago, we picked her up at the depot and she tried to cash the ticket.
Well, maybe she wanted to go by train. Maybe she wanted to walk.
If you love listening to this show, please consider giving a rating and a review on Amazon Alexa or wherever you listen. We want to continue bringing you this amazing content, and part of our ability to do that means that we need a big audience. Now, it may not seem like much, but rating and reviewing the show will help more people find us, just like how you found this show. Simply on any podcast platform, search for a show, scroll down to the bottom, and push 5 stars. It's that easy. Thanks for supporting the show. Today, I'm joined by Ingmar Rentzhog, who is the CEO and founder of We Don't Have Time. Thanks for joining us on the podcast again.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
So for those listeners that are not as familiar with We Don't Have Time, what is it?
We Don't Have Time is a social network and rating platform focused on the climate. So what you can do at We Don't Have Time is to communicate directly with leaders and give them reviews if they're doing something good for the climate or bad for the climate. You can have a dialogue and have them to do better, or you can help them amplify the solutions they are perhaps already doing.
So I know that we've had you on our podcast several months back, and there's been a lot of development since then. And I think recently there was someone on your platform that had indicated that he's been a climate change professional for some 17 years, but recently he's just seen a remarkable kind of a public engagement around the climate change topic. And specifically, he had posted an article on We Don't Have Time and saw significant engagement on your platform, almost 12x compared to other social media platforms. Can you provide a little bit insight to that?
Yeah, it was actually a nice surprise, someone doing a review on us. It was one of our users, I don't actually know him previously, that had made this test of communicating, sharing content about the climate on LinkedIn and the same post on We Don't Have Time. And he has about 1,000 followers working within renewable energy space, so he has a great crowd also on LinkedIn. And what he measured was that on the We Don't Have Time platform, where we gather all the people that want to solve the climate crisis, there were actually 12 times more engagement compared to the post on LinkedIn. So this was very satisfying for us, because this is exactly why we have built the We Don't Have Time, a focused social media, in order to have the conversation going on how to solve the climate crisis and meet people where we normally don't meet in your circles. So we are a true global community with members in over 140 countries that are discussing different kind of solutions and the way forward in order to solve the climate crisis with each other.
All right, so we're going to come back to that community in just a few minutes, but there's also some very positive news as well. I think you recently closed a $2.5 million Euro round. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we as a startup, you need to secure the funding in order to further develop the concept. And this time it was our third larger round we did in the middle of Corona. So I was kind of a little bit worried about how it should go, because you can't meet anyone, etc., etc. So what we actually did was that we broadened our network. Instead of talk to people we could meet, we talked to everyone, regardless of who they live in the world. And we actually, I would say, it went very well in the end, but it was a lot of work behind it. I think I had over 1,000 investor meetings in about 3 months. So in order to succeed as an entrepreneur, you must be used to have people turning you down, because it's only a fraction of the people that actually in the end are saying yes. But what is fortune for us is that the kind of investor that have joined We Don't Have Time is actually exact the ones we want. Those are the ones that knows that the world can't go on as it's doing already. We need to change, and the world is going to be completely different in the future, and we need to make it a way that it will be a good future. Those kind of investors that understand that are often very much high level and also have a deep knowledge about what's going on in the world. Those are the ones that actually were telling us yes. So that is very, very comfortable. But you need to be a little bit stubborn in order to just go on when people always otherwise tell you that we don't see any need of a social network for solving the climate crisis, etc., or we don't understand how you can make money out of solving the climate crisis. I mean, in a couple of years, everyone will understand that those questions are really stupid. Of course, the only thing that will matter is to solve the climate crisis. Of course, it's going to be the biggest opportunity, business opportunity on this time. So, but not everyone is waking up. So we are actually gather the ones that have waken up, and they're also going to help us in so much more ways than just investing. So this is really something we're doing together with our investors and also our partners and our members or users on the platform.
Yeah, I think the first comment that I have is that the process to roadshow with some 1,000+ investors in itself is very arduous and difficult. But if it yielded just a handful of those that are just super perfect fits, exactly the way you're describing, it was a journey worth having. The other thing around monetization is, some of those questions were being asked to Facebook. Facebook now is a juggernaut for advertising, and really not only controls advertising and marketing spend, but really controls a political influence and direction as well. So it's become very powerful as a platform. Now, part of this momentum that we're seeing is, I think there was a recent announcement of a corporate sponsorship with companies such as Ericsson that is committing to sponsor 3 exponential climate change summits in 2021. Can you talk about that and what's really kind of led to this point, and why are we seeing this significant uptick for you guys?
I will say 2 things. One, that is we have been in business 3 years now, and I have started a lot of companies within my career, and it's something magical is often happen when you pass the 3-year time period. That is kind of if a company will succeed or not. Most companies that are not succeeding will fail before they're turning 3 years old. So something is happening when you have succeeded in passing that time slot or that time frame. But of course, it's not only that. I would say it's a combination of what we have succeeded of building, combined with that the time for the idea of what we have created has come. When I launched We Don't Have Time 3 years ago, I certainly don't think that we could have make any money out of it as we do now, because companies weren't ready to invest in climate action. But now they are. Now more and more companies and organizations understands that they need to play a role. They can't just sell their product and go on with their business. They also need to be part of the solution, and just doing your business a little greener is not enough. You must also contribute and be more active about your climate action and speak out and do stuff. And that's why we have so many organizations and businesses that wants to do it with us, because our approach is that we have built a platform where we want everyone to cooperate and do this together. We really need to cooperate and and work together if we're going to solve the climate crisis. And it doesn't work that you only do your business. You also need to open up and talk to your suppliers, talk to your customers, talk to your employees. You need to involve everyone. And that's a quite complex process to succeed with. So our platform is a really great tool in order to make that happen. So that I would say is one part that the interest for what we are doing is increasing, but it's also the negative news, and that is something that is not so good, and that is, of course, that the climate is moving in the wrong direction, really, really fast, and the better it will get, the more people will wake up and understand that they need to do something, and we are one of the world's largest platform for climate communications. Of course, we play a role in that, so that will of course help us. But that is not good news. I wish it was the other way around. Actually, that our goal is not to be needed.
So what I'm thinking about right now is if you look at human history, the various civilizations across the world, some of the biggest changes, kind of societal changes, require the collective action of people. Oftentimes it required, activism and protesting on the street. But really, to me, when I think about we don't have time as a platform, it's the modern era of activism. And it's this notion where geographically is, certainly distributed and decentralized, but there is this cohesion, unification that allows for collective action. And you talked about something which is very interesting, is this, the time has come. I think whether it's the user that we just talked about a few minutes ago, or just your last 3 years as journey as of an organization, is we're at an inflection point that we've never seen before, where it's no longer just rhetoric, but people are actually doing something about it. Individuals, corporations you're talking about, and certainly government at the fiscal policy and legislative level, they're making big changes. For example, pushing hydrogen coming from Europe, for instance. What are some conversations that you are seeing on the platform that is so critical to what is happening now?
It's a lot of conversation, I would say, around what kind of solutions we actually need. Our platform is quite different from other social media because we don't have the conversation about if the climate crisis, if the climate change are happening or not. Because in our guidelines, in order to join our platform, you need to agree on science. So you can't really have the debate if NASA is a conspiracy or if we have been on the moon or anything like that, because that is simply not true. So instead, the conversation on our platform is more about embracing a solution, discuss solutions, and have a debate about what is the best way forward. Nuclear is, of course, a very hot topic where you see that some people see that as a climate solution, other people hate it because it's bad for the environment. And you have some people in the between where they maybe not have made up their mind. And it's so much information out there, different kind of actors actually, just they're not interested in sharing the truth. They're only interested in sharing their own views about it without listen. But on our platform, you see actually that you have some progress in people helping each other to develop a more fact-based view out of it. So that is a topic I would say that is going on. But you also have a lot of discussion right now about biofuel, if that is a solution or if that is something really, really bad for the climate. Bioenergy is something, I mean, in one way it's circular. You grow some tree and you make fuel out of it and you burn it up and you have this circulation in the atmosphere. In one sense, that should be environment friendly. But on the other way, we don't have time. This takes a lot of time in order to make that circulation to happen. And unfortunately, we don't have time for that. So we need to lower the emission now. we don't have time to make it go around in 50 years. We need to lower it now. So here is an area I think that we're going to see a lot of more debate in the near-term future in the whole society. And it is not black and white, because you have you need to actually consider a lot of different facts, and you need to prioritize. But it's absolutely not the number one solution, I would say. It's something that really needs to be discussed and also be regulated and much more thoughtful way than you see today.
Well, I think that the topic of climate change action is so complex. And then when we talk about solutions, it's not just the energy generation, but there's the storage aspects, there's the decarbonization, and then the carbon capture aspects, sequestration as an example. And there's just a ton of things. And I think some of those areas don't really get enough visibility or discussions. What are you seeing in terms of kind of the transition? So, if you think about electrification, certainly that is, we're starting to really see that catch on with major auto manufacturers. But, that is still years away before we get to a point where we got 90% or more saturation in the marketplace. In the meantime, how do we switch over to something like, let's say, green hydrogen, for instance, that provides something of a smoother transition, specifically on the industrial side and enterprise side?
I don't think it exists a silver bullet in order to solve the climate crisis. We need all the weapons we have in the army, and we need to embrace different kind of solutions. We need to use what we have, where we have it, and it's different between different parts of the world, or different where you are, and the kind of actor you actually are. What solution is best for you? So we need to focus on what not to do and find the best solutions in order to do it in a better way. And we also need to trial and error a lot. What most people don't understand is the power of exponential growth. In order, what we see, many people now see all the negative effect with exponential growth. We have the coronavirus. We all know what happens when it grows exponentially. It gets out of the control in very, very fast. In just a couple of weeks, you have something that has grown from a few patients to thousands. But the exponential growth could actually be used for the solutions. And here we have a conflict in society where many people are so frustrated because the progress is not happening fast enough. But they don't understand that in the beginning of the exponential growth curve, things are moving really, really slowly. But it's fast picking up pace, as you see now with electric cars. Electric cars have starting to pick up pace, and I think that in just a couple of years, no one will buy a fossil fuel car anymore, because that will be much more expensive and much better, much less good car. So what I mean with this is that we need to reward all action in the beginning of the exponential curve. What we do in the beginning of the exponential curve will be very different from what we do when we are in top of the exponential curve. But we will never get to the top of the exponential climate action curve if we don't reward the action in the beginning. So instead of talking down leaders when they don't have goals, that is not enough, we need to encourage them to embrace the goals they have decided on, and we need to encourage them to do more. But we should not talk down when leaders are trying to do something, even if it's not enough, because that will get the action started. And that's the only thing needed in order to move on. But of course, we need to get the pressure up. And as time moves on, we need to increase the demand for more action.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up a very important point, and this was a topic that I discussed with another subject matter expert, is this notion of positive psychology. I think there are a lot of experimentation that's happening, both at the policy level as well as private sector solution level. And to your point, we're not going to have optimization from day one. Rather, it's about incremental encouragement. And the fact that we're moving forward, even if it's small, even if it's incremental, is exactly what's needed right now. If you look at the European policy as an example, I think, whether we're talking about clean energy, renewables, hydrogen, what we're seeing is the fiscal and the policy decisions is cascading down. That's then allowing for capital markets to open up, and then the PEs, the VCs, and other investors are starting to invest into those types of solutions. And then, of course, that's further spurring innovation and solutions that's coming out of it. So definitely, we're definitely seeing the engines churning. And I think you're right. Is how do we encourage that? And on your platform specifically, how do you ensure that the tone of the conversations really is meant to be positive and move things forward versus just intellectual debate and discussion? To your point earlier about some people wanting to just share their perspective without actually, bothering to actually listen to others.
What we have on our platform is a review system where you could give what we call climate warning to a leader, to a company or an organization or a president. If they do something bad, our members give climate warning. But we also have the other review, and that is climate love, and that is something you give to someone that are doing something good for the climate. And I was very worried when we launched this that people will create more warnings and compared to love. But I was totally wrong because we haven't had been doing anything special here. What we see since this platform actually have started, it's kind of been quite the same all the time. We have over 70% climate love on the platform. So it's a great need of rewarding good action and embracing good action. And you don't see that on many other places. Most environment organizations are super good at criticizing and demanding, and we need that, of course. But we also need the encouragement when you do something good. And you don't have so many platforms that are doing the encouragement. I mean, media is also very bad at encouragement. Most news are about catastrophic negative news. They're seldom about something good that someone are doing. So it's a great need of that. So that's very comforting and encouraging for us that our members actually wants to give more love when warning. So we don't need to regulate it or anything like that. It's just spontaneous. Seems to be more need of giving love compared to giving warning. But of course, when it's needed, the warning plays a role, because you can't have a platform where you only encourage something. You also need to actually be very harsh when someone is not doing the right thing. So you need both, but I think you need more love when warning in order to move on, because if you're encouraging someone, they often listen more compared to when you're complaining to them.
That's a great point. So my last question for you is, as you look towards the rest of 2021 and into 2022, what are some of the top priorities that you have for We Don't Have Time?
What we are doing now regarding development is that we are developing the review part of the platform, so that what you are going to be able to do on our platform, besides creating those review and discussing with other members and directly with the companies that are reviewed, you will also be able to compare companies and see who is the best company, who is having best climate love compared to who is having most climate warning, etc. And you can sort this in different sectors, different countries, and to also increase the use of the platform. We're also going to gather a lot of other sustainability data. So you will have like one-stop shop where you can look up a company, see what are other people views about this company's climate action, but you will also see the hard facts. What are their emissions? Are they member of science-based targets? Are they member of the Renewable 100? Are they going are they using renewable energy, etc., etc.? You will be able to see that on our platform, and this information you have this available today if you're an investor, because you have a whole business providing this kind of information to investors. But they needs to pay a lot of money for the information. What we're going to do is to give out this information for free for anyone. And instead of having the investors paying for the information, we're going to have the companies paying to be on a platform and be active on a platform and answer the dialogue when people are engaging on what they do.
I'm so encouraged by what I'm hearing. I mean, to me, you could not have more of a direct accountability. I think for too long, capitalism has based on kind of opaqueness around the multi-levels. But here you're directly keeping those enterprises and brands accountable directly to the actual stakeholders. So with that, I've been joined by Ingmar Rentzhog, who is the CEO and founder of We Don't Have Time. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you so much.
If you've enjoyed this episode, take a moment to rate our show on any podcast platform that you listen to. Scroll down to the bottom and push 5 stars. It's that easy. And as always, thanks for listening.